can't believe what's happened to me," he would cry out to himself, and then be amused at his own simple-mindedness. "Who do you think you are, anyway, Donald Wolfe? Why, there are dozens of young men just like you in any one of these towering buildings along the avenue." Yet they were not all quite like him. Senior partners were surely known to be sparing of praise. Still, before the year had passed, he had already received a good deal of it. One of the seniors, a punctilious, middle-aged man, whom a few of the younger people in the office had secretly labeled typically white shoe, took a liking to him. But even if Augustus Pratt had not taken that liking, Donald never would have scoffed at white shoe. To begin with, he was not exactly sure what it meant. But if it did mean what he thought, a certain old-fashioned, formal courtesy, he would have found no fault with that. One evening, at the conclusion of Aida, Donald came upon Mr. Pratt in the lobby of the Opera House. He was accompanied by a woman, obviously his wife, with their 3 half-grown children. "Why, hello, Donald. I never knew you cared about opera." "I do, although I still don't know much about it." "It's never too late and seldom too early to learn. If I'd known you were here," he said as they walked out together, "we could have had some refreshments. Where were you sitting?" "On top, as high as you can go." "Oh, it was worth it, I'm sure, in spite of the seat." "Yes, sir, it was." "Well, see you in the morning. Good night, Donald." More than once, when, in a later time, he reflected on the chain of events that had moved him through the years, Donald wondered how differently things might have turned out if he had not met Augustus Pratt that night at the opera. Was it the fact that I shared his tastes that impressed him enough to present me with 2 good seats for the rest of the season? Had that led to those informal conversations which, in their turn, had led to more swift assignments and promotions, and that, in a roundabout way, had led in the end to Lillian, to marriage, and the deadly ruin that came after it? Pratt had grown up in a small town in northern Maine. His father, like Donald's late mother, had been a teacher. He, too, had left for law school, borrowed and worked his way through it, and never returned to the small town. It was this familiar background that made Donald feel particularly comfortable in his presence. "Yes," Pratt said in one of those conversations, "Dakota sounds much like Maine. A hot July and August, then a long winter. My brothers and I worked all day in the potato fields. We worked so late sometimes that our mother brought our dinner to us in a pail. You too, I suppose." "Except that I had no brothers or sisters either. Mom had a summer job when school was out. When I got back from the farm where I worked, I'd make supper. If she got home first, she'd make it." "You don't mention your father. Or am I intruding with the question?" "Not at all. He died in France in 1944. I was a year old." "To have a son and never see him grow up," Pratt murmured, then gave Donald a penetrating look. "You would have pleased him, Donald. Our profession, despite the abuses of some lawyers, still demands the highest honor and trust. You are going to be an honored name within it. Donald was to remember another day 2 years later. How would you like to go with me to Singapore next month? There's a bank matter there that's come to life again. We thought it was nicely settled, but it isn't. Like it, Mr. Pratt. Until I came to New York, I'd never been farther than the state capital. Oh, yes, I'd like it. Pratt had smiled. Donald never forgot that smile. A little pleased, a little amused, and even perhaps a little bit, well, fatherly. You'll see a lot more than Singapore in your time, Donald. There was so much that he needed to see and do and learn. The world was 1,000 times larger and fuller than he could have imagined. In the courtroom, as part of a team accompanying a senior partner, he saw the human tragedy and the human comedy as he had never seen them, the variety of people, the poverty and the riches, the astonishing evil and the innocence, and above it all was the majestic quest for justice. At his desk, he sat and studied the postmarks on foreign correspondence. The very names on them lured him. London and Paris evoked grand boulevards. Suriname, Bombay, or Malaysia evoked wet heat, dim rubber forests, or red and gold bazaars. The firm's clients had profits, losses, and myriad problems all over the world. Here were complicated puzzles with much at stake, not to mention his own job if he were to err in a report to his superiors. The bright years rolled one into the other. In the 5th year, he was approaching the time when a young lawyer either makes partner or knows that he never will. I can't talk about it yet, but I assume you have a pretty good idea, said Augustus Pratt, and changed the subject. Do you ever think of marrying? Donald was startled. They were 5 miles above the Atlantic, flying home, and they had just been talking about the Federal Reserve. Anyway, the question was more personal than one would generally expect from Mr. Pratt. No, he said, stumbling over his reply. I'm in no hurry. Well, you've been with us going on 6 years, and you haven't met anyone. I thought maybe that English girl you always see when we're in London. She seemed quite lovely that time I met her. You liked her, Donald said mischievously, because she looks like Mrs. Pratt. Ah, yes, maybe she does, a little. We'll be married 20 years next month. A soft expression crossed Pratt's face. It was remarkable to see that softness appear on features usually so firm as to have been carved. Yes, yes, Donald. A sound, loving marriage is a man's blessing. Someplace right now there's a young woman who is going to give you great joy in life. And let me add that she will be one lucky woman. Well, we'll see, said Donald, wanting to end the subject. But up till now, I haven't ever felt about anyone that I'd want to spend the rest of my life with her. Without that, I certainly wouldn't marry her.